everyone, I'm FTFE. Welcome back to the channel that butchers stupidity in front of its family and then tortures it slowly and then kills it afterwards. I think it's time we gave the new guy to the stream, Strayer, a chance to introduce himself. Why don't you just...
Strayer, not
Strayer,
Strayer.
sorry. We're just going to stick with M. I always get names wrong.
All right.
Thank you for coming. Apologies for the technical issues there.
That's fine.
Do you have any questions or anything for what's been going on?
When I came in, I think... Tony, right? Tony?
That's correct, yes.
You were talking about seismic waves, right?
Yep.
I didn't catch a lot of that. FTFE, you asked me what I thought about that before, but I didn't catch a lot of that when I came in.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
so there are.
Yeah, sorry, Tony. You just cover it briefly for him and see what his response to it is.
Okay, so there are two basic arguments, which is that one is we use the travel times of seismic waves and the particular we can just use straight arrival times of the P waves to
I've seen this before,
constrain the geometry. So for an earthquake that's close to Antarctica, the seismic energy gets from one side of Antarctica to the other side of Antarctica very, very quickly. If the flat Earth geometry were correct, then that far side of Antarctica should actually be on the opposite side of the world. The other piece of evidence that we have is what are called Rayleigh waves, which are a special type of surface wave, and these things can be observed traveling around the world in multiple times in both directions, which is to say from the earthquake source directly to the receiver, but also moving away from the receiver, coming around back around the far side of the Earth and back to the receiver. And if you have a set of seismograms, you can distinguish the direction that they're coming from. So it's a so there are those two arguments as a preliminary, but there's much more sophisticated stuff that you can do with seismology.
So what's your thoughts on that, Em?
I don't see how that's a problem in the flat Earth model.
Why not?
The waves propagate through the Earth through the ice wall of Antarctica.
See, same thing.
I think yeah, I was going to say, I think Keith said the same thing before.
Yeah, but that's, so you can say that, okay, but you actually need to sit down and come up with a velocity model that's going to do that, and that's going to produce accurate results for all earthquakes. Because that's what seismologists have done. They've looked at tens of thousands of earthquakes, and they've examined the arrival times of them all. And you just saying, well, I think you can do that on a flat Earth, actually doesn't cut it.
So the particular
what are the
earthquakes the particular earthquakes that Tony was talking about earlier.
I beg your pardon?
Let me just
what are the
one sec. For M, the particular earthquakes Tony was talking about were in New Zealand, right? So they're measuring the times that it take for the waves to travel from New Zealand to Antarctica. But the problem is the station that they're talking about is on an ice shelf over here, and they were measuring arrival times that match this distance, not this distance. So that's why it doesn't make sense on a flat Earth map.
So let me ask you this: are there two stations or one station?
Well, there's stations all over the world.
There are multiple stations.
Okay, so between those stations, I guess we would have to go through, well, this station caught it at this amount, that station caught it at this
Yep.
time, and then the other station caught it at that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And that's exactly...
But you haven't done that,
exactly,
I know.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying,
we
dude.
have.
Okay,
It's literally
so-
done.
that
Every
was-
seismic
that
event
was-
in the world is kind of captured automatically.
If you remember, you were back at yelling at me about whether or not it was bigger or smaller. There was actually a video playing where I did exactly that analysis.
Okay, I'll check that out.
Would it be too much for me to ask you to play the video again?
Yeah, team, have you still got that video available?
Yeah, I do.
Because I was thinking the same thing as Keith and was ready to.
I do want to ask both of you
not
guys
yell.
a question real quick. Well, I'd like to ask.
here we go.
Sorry, we have a. Just so you know, we have a delay between us, so there'll be. If I cut you off, it's not intentional.
Yeah, there's a
I do
delay
want
for
to
me
ask
too.
you,
I
do
know
you both
already.
Yes. Do you? But this is for both of y'all. Do y'all know that the travel time of the wave going around the wall would still have to propagate at the speed of sound? Like it wouldn't propagate faster. It's a pressure wave, so it's going to propagate at the speed of sound around the wall. It still doesn't explain how, even if it went through the wall to
Pressure's
get all the
not
way over
sound.
there.
What?
It's a mechanical compressional wave, so there's a limit to how fast it can travel in a medium,
But it's not sound.
and that limit.
That's literally what sound is.
Yeah, sound is pressure.
Plus, sound was vibration, Craig.
Yes,
Vibration
so vibration.
can cause a
Vibration
pressure
is another. A vibration is another term for a wave. Can we perhaps
I
go
know
to the video?
that.
Perhaps it might.
Well, then I don't understand the issue. The point is that
Maybe I misunderstood.
the point is that the speed the waves propagate at are impossible to map onto a cohesive flat Earth map of any kind. When you map out all the seismic events around the Earth that happen all the time, and all the stations that are constantly recording the arrival times of all these waves, it matches a globe model. It is impossible for them all to match on a flat Earth model. It doesn't match. It does things that is impossible.
There's another piece of evidence, but I'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, have
so
you got that?
So, Phil, can I ask you a question?
Go on.
Yep.
Can I ask a question? Okay, so when it comes to the vibrations and everything like that, isn't there a difference between sound vibration going through air and then going through a solid material?
Yeah. So the velocity they can travel is different depending on the medium that they're in. Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so it would be probably faster in solid material as opposed to the air.
Well, yeah, but as we said earlier,
yes,
Antarctica isn't a solid thing.
So let me just address that. So the seismic waves that we're observing.
Is that when you were talking about the shelves before?
Yeah.
I think I caught that.
Okay, so this is the time slice that I think gives the flat Earth the most problem. So the epicenter of the earthquake is that red star there. The seismic stations that have made observations of this event are marked with red circles. The more intense the red of the circle, the smaller the travel time, the closer to the epicenter that it is. Okay. Now that blue circle is the most recent arrival. So this is the point where the seismic energy has reached that particular site. Now on the left-hand panel, this is what we think it looks like under a spherical Earth viewed using an azimuthal equidistant projection focused on the epicenter. And you can see that when we look at it like this, it looks like the seismic energy is just spreading out like ripples on a pond, right? Which is what we would expect, right? We would expect the seismic energy to just spread out in a circular pattern. It's like, it's exactly like dropping a stone into a pond and watching the ripples travel out. that's the most intuitive possible model, and it seems to be what happens under that projection. On the right-hand panel is the azimuthal equidistant projection on the North Pole, and we can see that even near the earthquake, the dispersion of energy just doesn't seem to be making any sense. But the energy has travelled to the far side of the Earth without travelling through the intervening period, and it just it is possible to construct a velocity model, but it would really, it would require velocities that are significantly larger than the speed of sound inside the medium. And these are earthquakes. I think Keith said he seems to interpret it as though when we're near the earthquake, we're looking at something through air. No, this is physical energy traveling through the Earth. That's what an earthquake is.
No, that's
okay. So
that's not. That's not what I said, but I do have an answer if you'll let me.
Okay.
Yeah, because that actually does seem
Okay.
like a problem.
So,
Right.
okay, hold on. So let me just jump in right quick. So here's the thing: when it comes to that red star, okay, that's no problem. But
Sorry, I put it back. My bad.
So with the red star, when you look at it, so here's what I'm going to say. The reason that blue, because I believe you're saying the blue is the one that's getting hit up more than those other ones. I'm still going to say it's because of that wall that's hitting it.
No, that's not what I said. Okay, so
is the blue getting the hardest hit or not?
No.
So then what do we even? Okay, so what's the point of this? I thought you were saying that the blue dot was getting hit harder than those other dots.
No, it is the most recent arrival. So these are time dependent, right? We're looking at the time it takes for the seismic energy to get to each of these stations that is marked by a circle. The blue dot is the most recent station that has registered the energy from this event. Okay, that's all the blue dot.
Okay, let me ask you this.
indicates.
Is that first or last? Because I don't really know what you're saying when you say it like that. Are you saying that blue dot gets hit first or the blue dot gets hit last?
Of the seismic stations shown here, the blue dot is the last seismic station that has received energy from this event.
How do you not see how that can happen based off of a flat Earth? I'm looking right at it. I can see why that would be the case.
It is possible to construct a flat Earth formulation under which this can happen under two assumptions. One, that seismic energy can travel at many times the speed of sound, and two, that you don't have to explain any other earthquakes. But seismic waves can't travel faster than the speed of sound, and there are many tens of thousands of earthquakes. Okay? This is just one earthquake. You have to come up with a velocity model that works for all earthquakes, right?
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I mean, this is where I go right back to when it comes to the solidness. That's going to be a lot quicker than when we're talking about air and water vibrations and being able to travel through that. It's going to take a lot longer for those vibrations to go through.
We are looking at seismic energy. Seismic energy is traveling through the solid Earth. There's no water, there's no air involved in the propagation of these seismic energies.
Okay.
These waves are traveling through Earth's interior. They are traveling at depth within the Earth.
There we go. So you're making an assumption. That's what you have to say from the start. But for me, I would say, wait a minute. You have this earthquake right here. So as this traveling through that water and getting there, that's what it's going to be. Now, sorry, Tony. I'm sorry you can't handle that, dude. I mean, whatever.
Can I make the...
I'm pretty new to this, but
Let him have a shot at this.
this is a problem. I mean, I hadn't seen that map that he put up. I'm struggling to explain it. And for you to just say it was an assumption,
so,
like I'm not even that much of a. I'm not going to use that word, but.
Okay, so
I'm going
can
to come
I?
on here and try to
Can we?
argue. I'm not going to just yell at Tony.
Yeah. So Keith, you said that you want to learn. Okay. In order to learn, you have to absorb information. And at the moment, you seem to be using intellectual tricks to just reject information. And that is going to handicap you when you try to learn stuff. Now, uh, uh, can we bring up the graphic again? Because there are two other points that I'd like to raise. So if we go forward about 30 seconds from here and just pause it.
All right, 1 second.
Thanks, team.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the top right corner, at the bottom is a seismogram, and you can see that it's a very complicated thing, but you can actually detect different types of waves. Now we're just looking at one component. This is the vertical component of a seismogram, but seismograms actually also measure east-west deflections and north-south deflections. So there are actually three components. And with those three components, you can actually accurately characterize different types of waves. Now it turns out that if you have a look at the right, that cartoon up at the right, which is a schematic illustration of a spherical Earth and what waves you might expect if our model is correct. Okay, so that illustrates the types of reflections and transmissions that might occur under that spherical model. And you can actually see waves that have the right character to fit all of those. Now, if you do enough of this, you can get the plot on the left. Now, all I need to do is know how far away I am from the earthquake. And that will be that angular distance that's along the bottom of the graph. So if I know where the earthquake was, I look at my angular distance, and then I start tracking up. And so I can see which waves will arrive when by just tracking up from my angular distance. And it turns out that you get that feeds back into the seismogram at the bottom. You do get, at each site, you get the different seismic waves arriving in the proper sequence appropriate to their distance from the origin of the earthquake. Okay? And this works. This is accurate. This is demonstrable. And the same science allows us to locate earthquakes with precision. It allows us to detect nuclear tests. So when you hear about how North Korea tested a nuclear weapon, that seismic event was detected using seismology, right? It was using this science, and it using spherical geometry. Okay, it doesn't work with a flat geometry. So this, and given that M wasn't around earlier, let's go ahead another minute from here.
All right, 1 second.
Okay, in this case, we're considering a particular type of wave, which is a surface wave called a Rayleigh wave. Now, these waves only occur very near the surface, and they propagate out from the epicenter like ripples, as I said. Now, there's the schematic of the earthquake is in that little map, which isn't very clear. But the red star is where the earthquake is, and the orange dot is where where this particular site is at which we've taken the seismogram. Now you can see the yellow arrows on the seismogram. That first yellow arrow, R1, is the arrival of the first Rayleigh wave. Now it turns out that the Rayleigh wave, that is the Rayleigh wave that came directly from the earthquake focus straight towards the seismic station. But there's another Rayleigh wave that's going in the exact opposite direction. And that Rayleigh wave goes all the way around the Earth and comes up behind the seismic station, and that's that arrival R2, which is marked with the pink arrow. and then the first rally wave, having gone past the seismic station, it completes a lap of the Earth and it comes back, and that's that arrival at R3, which is marked with a yellow arrow, and then the other seismic wave comes back with R4. So for any large enough earthquake, we can see this sequence of arrivals, and the period between R1 and R3 and R2 and R4 is always the same for all earthquakes. It doesn't change. So this is the time it takes a rally wave to travel around the world. And the concept that this might be because of reflection off the edge of the Earth doesn't make any sense, because in that case, the time between arrivals would depend on how close you are to the edge of the Earth, how close you are to Antarctica. If you're close to Antarctica, you're going to get the rally wave coming through, bouncing off, and then coming straight back. So it would recur in a very short period of time. In fact, we observed that the period between the arrivals of the rally waves is very, very regular.
It's a lot to take in there, Em. What thoughts?
First of all, thank you. Why are you laughing?
Just go ahead and go.
Tony put quite an effort in to explain both of you, and you took it in extremely different ways. Where M said, okay, he acknowledged the fact that Tony put such an effort forth and probably learned something from it, whether it supported his belief or not. He probably learned something from it. Whereas you just fucking laugh it off like you're some kind of fucking super genius. That laughter, my friend, sounded extremely nervous. No, that laughter sounded extremely nervous. Extremely nervous.
I don't give
Relax.
a damn what
Just
you
learn
think.
something.
What the hell are you, man? Get
This
outta
team
here with that
motherfucking
shit.
skeptic,
My
Goddamn
laugh
daddy.
I-
I'm your goddamn daddy. Why?
over
Right.
the
Let Em
fact
respond because
that it was a lot.
right.
Go ahead, Em. These
let's
guys
let
are
him-
jokes, man.
Let him
Got it.
respond.
I actually did not know what rally waves were before I hopped on here, so I did learn something. And having a serious episode of cognitive dissonance because I don't have an answer.
Okay, so
And that's all
Can
they
I
really
make
want to
a-
get at.
can I make
They want
a-
to give all this
can
big-ass
I-
jargon so that you can't even
I-
really give a basic answer to something, and they keep on interrupting. They never just
Well,
let us
Keith,
just go ahead and
hold
give
on.
a basic thing to say.
No.
Come on now.
You are making the assumption here that M didn't understand what Tony said, and I'm actually going to give M the benefit
No,
of
he
the
said
doubt.
he was trying to learn it.
No,
He just said he was trying to learn it. But my point is that you guys just keep going over this super big-ass jargon, and all you really need is some basic, look, this goes from here to here, it's time. That's all. That's all. But you guys keep doing this all extra out stuff that's not even needed.
I'm sorry that big words like offend you so much,
See?
but I'd rather stick with M here because M is actually being intellectually honest.
Struggled with attenuation, dude.
so
Yeah.
so Em, can I just make a point? You don't have to believe me, okay? Because I could be bullshitting you. I could just be making crap up. You've got no guarantee that I'm intellectually honest. So what I would suggest is that
handle
you
is PhD
go and do
Tony,
some.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
You have a PhD.
He does. Yes.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
in
trust that.
geophysics. Okay.
well,
well,
that-
thank you. But you know, there are resources out there, and I hope that I've given you enough that you can do some research, or even if there's a university nearby, they probably have an earth sciences thing. What I hope you will do is actually go out and do some research and look at some more stuff, because you don't need to.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Why would you? You're not a professional earth scientist, but hopefully this gives you some directions to look in as you move forward.
So, I'm kind of interested. What made you start thinking that the Earth could be flat? Because I've seen you in the chat, and you've straight up said that you're not 100% sold on the whole thing. So, what's what issues do you have? What has made you start thinking? I asked Keith this, and he went, "Hey, man, I can't explain to you all the things. I imagine you could be a little bit more intellectually honest than Keith. So, what brought you to the possible conclusion that the Earth isn't a globe?"
If you want intellectual honesty,
Yes, please.
I think you've called it in your debates the argument from incredulity. Am I saying that right?
Okay. Yeah,
I won't make
that's right.
I won't make the argument in a debate, but I can't get it out of my head that. I mean, I don't subscribe to everything in the flat Earth movement. Like, the moon is real. I don't know why people think the moon isn't real.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one too.
We went there, but I just everything I see about it's all the cliche stuff that flat earthers say. That's what I thought at first. Was like, this is just everything I watched was like this. It was like watching a TV show where everyone repeats the same cliches over and over again, but they started to resonate with me, and that's kind of what got me to where I am. And
did you
honestly, that's why I wanted a partner coming into the debate, because I'm not 100% sure on this stuff, and I was hoping somebody that wasn't just going to yell things at you guys, but I didn't get that. So I'm a little more nervous now than I was before.
Hold on, the only problem with all that is that they keep on interrupting. That's the only reason why the yelling comes in. That's all.
Yeah, we've been the ones interrupting, dude. Cool story, bro.
Okay, so
Fight.
what it
Calm down. You just used a word, interrupting. He probably doesn't understand what that means.
Far too many syllables, Mike.
See, this is what they like to do.
Over you.
This is all they're going to do,
So-
man. This is what they're going to do.
So
I was just making sure you
do
understood.
you feel that you felt like you were being dictated to and made to and that you didn't want to be dictated to about the nature of your reality? You wanted to investigate it yourself and come to your own conclusion based on the evidence available to you.
I don't think I was being dictated to. For example, when I was in school, like, I think my teachers believed what they were telling me.
Yep.
But there was a point where.
But are they reliable? You know, that's the question.
Right. Is there where they're getting their information from? Is that reliable? I'm going to put this in air quotes because I'm going to get lit up in the chat for this. I know I'm going to get lit up in the chat for this. Big government. Are they telling us the truth? Are they being honest with us?
Yeah, and I mean that's a
For the record, Oswald acted alone. I am, and 9/11 was not an inside job. Please do not. Plug me in with those.
Okay.
No. That's you make an excellent point, because the fact is that governments do lie. And sometimes they lie for our benefit, because they lie about how they get intelligence sources, for instance, to keep those intelligence sources intact and protect us from threats, from external threats. And sometimes they lie because it's convenient and they're trying to cover up a mistake. And sometimes they lie because they want to look good. It's politically beneficial for them. So yeah, sometimes government lies, and sometimes media is inaccurate.
Can I step in there too? Can I step in, because there's another point that really needs to be made regarding lies and misinformation. A lot of times flat earthers, conspiracy theorists, and other people who bring up the point that sometimes the government isn't completely fruitful with what they say is because the government's trying to put something out that the majority of people can't. So for instance, if they speak of gravity as a force, it's because the majority of people understand gravity being explained as a force. That only a select people understand gravity being explained as an effect due to the space-time. So here for them to put out information that is not technically right, but still not technically wrong. And then people will say, oh, well, they said this when it's really this. They knew it was this, but they said this. Yeah, that's because they're just trying to lay it that everybody can understand, not the select few people who have that specific type of knowledge can.
So, you were talking about the flat Earth kind of talking points, the things that they all parrot, and you said that some of them started to resonate with you. Would you mind elaborating on that?
Um, so, what was it? What year was that solar eclipse in America?
The
It was a couple years ago, right?
2017 one.
17.
Yep.
So there's nothing specific about that eclipse, but it was the first one I saw in person, and I didn't see the total eclipse. I only saw the partial, but it actually seeing part of the moon block the sun, it made me. It kind of made it more real to me than eclipse, like solar eclipses. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble looking up at the screen because of how nervous I am.
That's okay.
Nobody here is
You got
going
it.
to attack you, so
No.
you
I
are
just mean because it's a live stream.
okay.
Not that anyone's going to attack me that it's a live stream. I've never done that before. Um, but it just kind of made it more real to me, and I need to not look at the chat. That's gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to not look at the chat. It made the idea of eclipse more real to me, and I started thinking about it a lot more instead of just this abstract idea in my head. I'll just get to it. My basic thought, and I know saying this how dumb it's going to sound, and that's why I minimized the chat, but the moon and the sun looking the exact same size. And it sounds dumb saying it out loud. It sounds really dumb saying it out loud, because it just, everything about the explanations were given, even the math that I understand to a degree, a little bit. It seems too perfect, and I've always understood the universe to not be that way.
Yeah.
Almost created, right?
Oh no, dude, I'm an atheist. Don't.
Oh no.
So this is one of the things where, as a scientist, you just go, the Earth and the Sun are the same size. Yep, no explanation for that. Let's move on. You're right. It doesn't make any sense. But there's no reason for that to be the case. It just is, and we have to accept the universe as it is observed to be, and move on.
I must have heard you wrong.
Sorry?
I said I must have heard you wrong, because it sounded like you said I have to accept the universe the way it is and move on.
So in terms of the relative angular size of the sun and the moon, you're right. There's no causal mechanism for why that should be the case. It doesn't need to be the case, but it is. We just accept it and we move on. We don't try to explain it, because it's just a fact. It's just the way things are. It's like, so I'm 5'9". I don't know why I'm 5'9". It's just a fact. So I accept it and I move on. I'd much rather be 6'4" and be capable of being a first-class cricketer, but I'm not. So I accept it and I move on. There are. I can see why that particular coincidence might get you thinking in a certain direction, but it's just the universe is full of random shit. and we try and understand as much of it as we can, but we accept when we can't explain stuff.
The fact of the matter is that even though it seems like a massive coincidence that the sun and the moon seem to be the same size in the sky, it is just that. It's a coincidence. But when you test to see if the model is as we say it is, and it turns out that it's correct, the moon is about 250,000 miles away, and it just so happens that it is 300 times smaller than the sun, and the sun is 300 times further away. It's just a cosmic coincidence. But it's a cosmic coincidence that has been verified. Yeah, no one's going to deny it's a big coincidence, but it's a coincidence that has been verified.
Are you guys willing to admit that when it comes to the different sizes of the sun and the moon, you can have many variations of how far away they are? You can have a 93 million mile away sun and a smaller moon, and they're going to look the same. Or you can have a smaller sun than what we think it is closer. And
well, yeah,
still going to,
of course.
There's multiple variations.
Yeah, using the
yeah, there are multiple variations.
Yeah, using the formula for like angular size perspective, alpha equals 2 times the arc tangent g over 2r. You know, you can change the variables of how far things away are and their actual size, and their angular size will stay the same. But again, it's things that have been verified. We've sent probes to the sun. You know, we've landed people on the moon. We know the distances, and the distances match what we say that they should be.
The only thing I can say to that, I am definitely not anti-NASA at all. But I'm not anti-NASA at all. But the thing about that is that when you go through those numbers, it just becomes hard to know whether we can actually verify what's given, because we're not there. I mean, this is just very simple.
Yeah, but it has been verified, hasn't it? That's the thing.
So this is
Tony, one sec. Team wanted to say something, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sorry, team. Off you go.
Yeah, no. What I was gonna say is that well, one thing that Tony said earlier, and this is gonna hold true right now, is that yes, you're right, 100%. You can make there's so many different variations of where the sun could be as far as the distance, and any distance you want to set it, you can calculate how big the sun needs to be to appear in the sky at that distance. That's not a problem. The problem is going to come in when you try to use that same distance calculation for your second observation and then your third observation. See, if your second observation and your third observation require the distance of the sun or the size of the sun to be different than what the first observation required it to be, then it's inconsistent, and you should not accept that as a valid description of reality. Another thing you can say
you are going to have to clarify that.
Real close. Okay, yeah, not a problem, not a problem. In fact, I'm going to share my screen real quick and do some of my famous artwork for you guys.
This artwork will be on sale afterwards. Bidding will start at $2,000.
Can I ask Keith a question while you're doing this?
Go ahead.
Keith, since I missed you coming on, they were saying that you said you weren't I can't remember what the wording was, but you weren't sure or convinced about all the flat Earth arguments either. And you even said you sorry?
No, what he said was it would take too long to explain why he thought the Earth was flat.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just trying to understand his position, since I'm sort of on his side, if there are sides in this.
Yeah. Oh, well, let me just very quick. We are on the same side on that level. I think we're different with the whole atheism part, but beyond that, yeah, we're definitely on the same side with the flat.
Okay, I'd like to suggest that everybody here is on the same side in that what we want is the truth, and what I hope I'm doing is presenting. What I hope I'm doing is presenting the evidence for why I come to the conclusion I come to. Why every other professional scientist comes to the same conclusion.
Okay, now forgive my beautiful artwork right here, because this is a person. This is me. Okay, I'm not going to say that.
I mean, that's accurate. Definitely to what size you are. That's life size, I think.
Let me draw my eyeball.
It might
Okay,
be the
so I'll
right
look with my
height, but he
eyeball
looks
out.
a bit fat in that particular picture.
Yeah, and he doesn't have his like
Right.
chemo like medicine with him. So
Hold on, let me
And
draw
where's the
the gap
gap
in my
between his
too.
teeth? That should clearly be visible.
yeah, team, they love you.
There you go. There's the gap in my teeth right there for you. Okay, so you can say that with H, okay, with H, the size of the sun, due to perspective, will have a, given like the calculation, the size of the sun will have an angular size of a certain amount, okay? Given the actual size of the sun, will have an angular size that's the same amount, right? So now we always know that the sun doesn't appear different in our sky. It's always going to look the same in our vision, regardless of how high the sun is or how big it is. One thing we can count on is down here at Earth, when we look up at it, it's going to look the same size. So we got to figure out what that size is. Now, if you change, like when you said, well, yeah, we could, it wouldn't matter if this is like H plus a little bit, we'll just call this H plus. Well, then we know for the angular size to remain consistent, that the diameter would have to go up, okay? When height goes up, diameter goes up. Again, height goes up even more here. Well, to keep that same angular size, the diameter of the sun has to go up even more. Okay, so now what you have to do is if you take one reading and you come to one of these three conclusions, let's say, and then you got a guy way over here, and you say, okay, here's my conclusion. This is what I came up with. Now make a mathematical prediction based on what I believe from this point, and when he takes this, if it's not consistent with what you have, then you should throw it out because what you guessed is wrong. Now there's all different, like you already pointed out, there's different heights with different sizes of the sun. And what appears to work is a sun that's extremely far away, so that's H is really, really big, as well as the sun being extremely large. It would need to be bigger than the size of the Earth. And let me tell you why. There's one reason why. Anybody on Earth looks up at the sun, and let me get back over here to my drawing, okay? We'll go up in this corner now. Everybody here looks up at the sun. Doesn't matter where you're at on Earth. We're going to draw, oops, I guess I deleted it. We're going to draw a sunspot right here, okay? If the Earth was short right here, then you would be seeing one side of the sun, and somebody over here would be seeing a different side of the sun, okay? So if you looked at the sun and described where this sunspot was to your vantage point from where you were looking, your friend would be able to look and see that sunspot would not be there if the sun was small and local. Now, if it's large
Whom
and
do you
far
know
away,
see sunspots?
then it doesn't.
What?
Whom do you know
Okay,
see
I'm just gonna ignore
sunspots?
that.
Come on, fellas, really?
Thunderfoot. Thunderfoot filmed them.
Hold on, let me show you a.
Just
This is a picture taken by a friend of ours of the sun. I'm pretty sure that
Oh
we can
my-
fucking see sunspots. We personally know
So
the
what you're
person that took
saying-
that.
What you're saying is that whatever this is through a camera, but it sounds like he's saying just from a person going out and observing the sun. Nobody just going out and observing the sun is going to see a sunspot. Come on,
Are you
man.
kidding?
Oh my fucking
Yes, you
God.
can. Yes, you can.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you
No,
can do
you're
it
going to
with
use some
fucking
type of
mirrors.
instrument.
Oh,
You are not going to do
God.
it with your own eyes. It takes another instrument.
can
You're going
do
to
it-
you can see
No
that with your
shit.
own eyes.
do it-
Your
That's an
eye
instrument.
is
You
eye
just-
is a fucking photon receptor. What's the difference between using one photon receptor over another?
I mean, I wouldn't recommend
Man, just
looking
go
at
ahead,
the
go on.
sun.
Just go on. Go on. Fine, go on.
Okay.
Thanks for your
So
permission.
since anybody on Earth,
I have a
anybody on
question for
Earth
Keith
can look up
after
at the
this.
sun and
Sorry,
see
Keith.
a common. Yeah, no problem. Let me finish explaining this, and I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah.
Anybody on Earth can look up and see that the sunspot is in the same spot on the sun. Okay, relative to their position. Of course, it might change because you might have an observer in the southern hemisphere, or you might have another observer that sees it up here. But they all see the same shape, the same face of the sun from the face of the Earth. This would not be possible if the sun was small and local. You would be seeing opposite sides of the sun on opposite, like someone at dusk would be seeing an opposite side of the sun than somebody at dawn. Go ahead, Em. I'm done. My artwork is complete.
Well, beautiful artwork. Although I couldn't follow the artwork at all, I just had to look into your words, and I got your words just fine. Someone offered 2,000 cents for that I'll go 2001 cents if you want. But
That's fucking $20, bro. I'm down.
The thing is
What's my
that it's
time?
electronic. You can sell it to both of them.
Yeah, right.
But yes, what's your question?
So, sorry. This is something I've had trouble kind of reconciling. The sunspot thing, I didn't know. That's probably obvious at this point. I have to look into sunspots, but that picture was pretty cool. That wasn't the slam. I meant that picture was pretty cool.
Thank you.
So what I wanted to ask Keith was, just I'm iffy on this, like trying to reconcile the distances to the sun that we met. I'm going to try looking up at my camera more. Sorry, the distances that we measure to the sun as opposed to, what we, as in, like what we think it is. And I know you, Keith, came in about the sunspots, but like I want to say what's our side, but that just sounds weird. Like, I know
I can't give you
the
that.
model. You can't?
No,
No,
you're
I
not
can't. I can't
authorized.
give you that.
So there's no flat Earth explanation for sunspots.
What I'm saying is I have the answer. I don't know about the sunspot. I have the answer for the sun thing he's talking about, if that's what you want.
Oh, please do enlighten us.
Okay.
Yeah, what I was going to say is
Okay.
I've
How do I get my
seen
teeth to get back together?
I've seen the different models of the sun working on a flat Earth model, but they contradict. And that's, I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. And that's, I'm trying to reconcile that with what we measure, and that's one of the things I'm having trouble with, and one of the things that I really haven't said I'm fully on board.
Yeah.
So that's really my question. Sorry.
Can I
So,
just quickly
hold
point in?
on, Tony. Hold on, Tony. So, what I would need from you, Em, since you asked that question, is that what exactly are you seeing that has a discrepancy? I would have to know exactly what you mean by that to be able to fully answer your question.
Oh, the one of the maps that the models of the sun and the moon are the sun and the moon hovering over the Earth. Now that I can wrap my head around. The problem is that doesn't mesh with seasons.
You sure?
And that I can't. I'm pretty sure.
Hello.
So what?
Hey,
so
Sean,
what part of
we'll
the
get to you in a
seasons
sec.
are you? So what? So what exactly with the seasons are you? What's being missed with that?
As far as I know, the seasons are different based on where the sun is, and the sun is at the same point in our flat Earth model. So I'm just.
Oh, okay. Now I understand.
Yeah.
So for us, what happens is that, well, I mean, even with the spherical people, even though the sun may be in one place, it still travels between Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. So what happens that in the summer for us, as it goes around the Tropic of Cancer, which is why I brought up the experiment of Eratosthenes when it was being over Syene, when it's up there, that's why you have the 24 hours in the Arctic.
Yep.
Go ahead.
And how do you get 24 hours in the Antarctic with your model?
To be honest, with me personally, I'm going to have to go there myself to look at it, but we have questions with that. We don't necessarily agree that whenever I've seen the Antarctic and supposed 24-hour sun, I have always seen clouds over it. So I've never seen just a full 24-hour sun in Antarctica like I do in Arctic. Never.
Oh, God.
Okay, so
that get grown all you want. It's just what it is. That's my experience.
So let me say something. You expressed an interest in learning science. If your response to somebody with information is, well, everybody's lying, that isn't true.
I didn't say
to see
that.
it
Come on now, don't
myself.
do that, Tony. That's being disingenuous.
That's what
no.
it feels like to us.
I work with people who do field work down in Antarctica. If there weren't a 24-hour sun, they would know. And they would tell me. And so what you're suggesting is that all of those people who have been down in Antarctica, who have made, and the people who put those films on YouTube are lying.
6:30
That
p.m.
that's a fraud. That's
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying
well,
is that
it is certainly what you are implying.
Right. Okay.
You
before this turns
No, I'm
into...
not saying that, man. Just stop that. I'm not saying that. So just stop going in that road, dude. I'm not saying that. Okay? Stop.
But if you're suggesting that you need to see everything, you need to directly observe it in order to believe it, you are expressing incredulity about all science. No one person can reconstruct science. It's just not possible anymore.
Yeah, and that's called a genetic fallacy.
There's too many specializations. You have to accept when other people report their observations, provided those observations are well described and robust. You have to accept that. Otherwise, you're putting yourself down a hole. You cannot study science that way.
Yeah.
I have a question for Keith then. Do you accept that radar distances are accurate?
Whew, here we go with this. Well, I'm not going to necessarily just deny them or anything like that, but I think that you can play with distances. I don't know how to explain that one. It's like, it's not that it's wrong or off. It's just, I don't know how to explain that one. I agree with it in general, but...
Okay.
So radar. So we can't get radar distances to the sun. It's one of the things that Nathan Oakley likes to complain about. There's no radar distance to the sun. But what we can do is get radar distances to Venus, because Venus is a solid planet and it does reflect radar waves, and we can use radar to get a distance to Venus. And Venus is much more than 4,000 miles away, and Venus passes between us and the sun regularly. So,
bit like this.
Yes, that's a picture of Venus in front of the sun. Now we can get radar distances to Venus, either around these events, and it's just the concept that the sun is 4,000 miles away. It simply doesn't match the observational evidence we have. And if you're going to, if you're going to study science, you really need to be able to listen to people who are providing you with information, because if you just reject the information, you can't get anywhere. If you want to reconstruct science from first principles, you're going to waste your life.
Radar can go that far to Venus?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And it gives you some idea.
One of the great things about the fact that we can measure the distance to Venus in that way is that then we can use observations like this, right? Now, imagine two people on Earth observing this this transit of Venus, right?
Wasn't that one of the sunspot pictures?
No, this was just one of the other ones.
Yes, it was. They're trying to slick it as Venus. Exactly.
No.
You called it.
This was the sun.
What are you talking about?
I wasn't showing sunspots. I was just
okay.
I was just showing that we got pictures of the sun,
M.
right?
Not you, M, the other guy.
Right. So this is a picture. So imagine two people on Earth looking at this transit of Venus across the sun, right? If they're at different points on the Earth, they're going to see it at slightly different angles. It's parallax, right? Now, you can use the fact that we can get radar measurements to Venus, and then those parallax measurements to use basic trigonometry to not only calculate the distance to Venus, but the distance to the sun. And it's very easy to do. And it's something that is undeniable. There is no fudging of the numbers that is going to make basic trigonometry give the same thing on a different model. It works because it's reality. Excuse me, I've got a degree in nuclear engineering, energy systems, and fission technology, and a degree in physics.
Then you should know that math can go many different ways.
Okay, you're not listening to me.
You're dumb.
I have an honors degree in mathematics, and I can say that Craig is correct. And if you go to any professional mathematician on the face of the planet, they will validate what he just said.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask this one question then. When it comes to the experiment of Eratosthenes, are you telling me that it does not go in two directions as far as giving you either the size of the sphere we're on or how far away the sun is? Yes or no?
With 2 points, you can make that assumption. Yes.
That doesn't answer my
A
question.
third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and you start getting wild.
That doesn't answer my
Based
question.
on-
My question is
based
very
on-
specific.
based
Can you
on
answer the
un-
question?
Right. Based on the 2 points of data that were
didn't.
gathered in the Eratosthenes experiment, you could reach either the conclusion that the sun is a particular distance above you in the sky and the Earth is flat, or that the Earth has a particular circumference. Right? But the
So
way
how did you not understand what I was saying, that math can go many different ways?
Because then what you do is you add in other factors. You add in extra data points to...
That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the fact that I just said that it still goes many different ways. You still are admitting that it goes different ways.
No, it
That's all I'm
doesn't. So that's
asking you
because
No, it doesn't. It
because
goes.
you're being
He
ignorant.
just
about
admitted it
because
did.
you're
And you
being
guys-
Right,
No,
wait,
no,
hold
no,
on,
no,
guys,
no,
hold on.
he did not.
Right.
He did not.
Right, what you're saying is that because something can be applied to one thing, it can be applied to another. That's not how maths works. You cannot use the parallax measurements of the transit of the sun with Venus and the radar
Wow.
distances that we calculate to Venus to get anything other than the distance that it is. It doesn't give you another distance. There is no way to fudge the numbers to make it come out with different distances when you're using basic trigonometry. And if you say it is, I will challenge you to demonstrate that and prove it right now, or shut the fuck up.
Okay, now, with all your cursing like you actually somebody, get your ass dropped if you face me. But when it comes to the experiment of Eratosthenes, when it comes to that experiment, you just admitted that it can go in two different directions, but then you tried to finagle some shit and act like it was
No, you
something
didn't.
else. No,
No.
it can go in different directions.
Self-finagle.
So everybody else stop
Self-finagle.
interrupting.
So-
Since you're saying I'm the one that's interrupting.
No,
so
shut
therefore
up.
let me speak,
Yeah, dude,
because
you're a
I'm
fucking
the one
moron.
talking right now. Nobody cares about you guys and what you're going to lie
you're
about.
prattling.
It goes by
You're-
the
you're
way that I
prattling.
was talking about.
You're
Experiment of
prattling. You're
Eratosthenes
prattling.
goes
Yeah,
in
you
two
know
different
more
You
about
are
math
prattling.
than
Right.
the
Please
math
shut up.
fucking PhD
Silence.
up here.
So, look,
All you guys have is curse
No.
words and
Oh,
all this foul
shut
language
up,
and all
you
this other
fucking
stuff, all
moron.
this BS.
I'd
guys
like
don't
to
have
point out that I
anything.
haven't.
look.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out that I haven't sworn
Yes.
once.
Do you want?
I
And,
haven't
and
interrupted
I,
you.
and I would like to point out how none of us have been
And I'm not mad
shitty
at you.
towards. I would like to point out how none of us have been shitty towards M, because he's come on here and acted like a decent human being, whereas you are flat out ignoring any evidence and acting like a colossal dickhead.
Because you
So-
think you can control
Yeah, I ain't
him.
fucking
That's why
cussed
you.
either.
You're on my
But
fucking
this-
channel,
but
bitch.
this
I
is
can
the-
control you.
But this is.
Well,
So
see
this
me in
gets back to the point
person
that I
when
was.
it comes to all that bitch shit, motherfucker.
Oh,
This-
look at you,
this-
big man
this-
threatening.
this-
Yeah, this is what flat earthers resort to. You are now the 7th flat earther to resort
Here you are
to.
the one cursing. You the one cursing at me. What are you talking about? Stop
Oh,
that
right.
BS.
So because I call you a
Yes,
fucking
because
idiot, you
you
threaten me
won't-
with violence. Fucking moron.
Man, can y'all
You
calm down with
won't-
all this crap, please?
Look,
Can y'all really calm
So-
down?
Let's do a
Can
different
y'all just calm
so
down?
can,
maybe.
Are you the one that just said see me in person?
Just admitted that the experiment of Eratosthenes can go in two different directions. It's either she shows you a sphere
Yeah.
or it gives you how far
So
where the
have
sun
you
is.
ever
Them,
heard-
You just heard
Can
that.
I-
So
Okay,
don't
have
let
you?
them lie.
Can
Right.
can I-
Have you? Wait, one sec.
Can
Have you ever
can
heard
I-
of Occam's razor, Keith?
Move on.
No. Answer the question. Have you ever heard of Occam's razor?
No, because you just admitted it goes in two different directions. That was my point.
Okay, so Occam's razor says that when
Simplest
you're presented
answer
with
is
two,
usually the correct one.
well, not necessarily. When you're presented with two competing hypotheses, the one that you should go with is the one that requires the least assumptions. Now, the amount of assumptions that are required for the Earth to be flat are astronomical. There are no assumptions required for the Earth to be a globe because it matches reality. So, Occam's razor says that the Eratosthenes experiment does not show that the Earth is flat because it matches no other parts of reality. You fucking
I-
retard.
Here-
can I
Craig, here's the bottom line.
can I make a
No, the
See,
bottom
here you
line's
go
you're
with
a
the name
moron.
calling again. As if
No.
you know anything.
Calling you a
Can I-
retard isn't a name, it's a fact. You're a retard.
Let's let
Can
Tony
I-
talk. Let's let Tony
Yeah,
talk.
Tony.
Go ahead,
Tony,
Tony.
do.
So I started out asking this question. I started out this stream, Keith, asking you if you agreed that there were people who were more intelligent and better informed than you. And you are insisting that people who have had years of education in the discipline you are opining about are flat out wrong, and you know better than they do. Your argument about the Eratosthenes experiment relies on the number of degrees of freedom that are available and the number of variables you have to fit the observations. And you don't understand any of that. You don't understand any of what I just said. But you insist that I dumb it down for you, and it can't be dumbed down. Okay? You are wrong. And you can shout, and you can threaten, and you can prattle on, but you are wrong. And you can go to any mathematician.
You guys are the ones saying
you can go to any mathematician on the face of the planet and play back this portion of the stream, and they will back us up.
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Regardless of all that word salad y'all just threw out, you admitted that with the experiment of Eratosthenes, it can go in two different directions. That's my only point. The rest of what y'all saying, I don't give a damn about. You admitted that it goes in two different directions.
Okay.
So since I'm the retard somehow, I don't see how that works.
Sorry, Em, are you saying something?
I said, can we move on to something else? Because I actually want to talk.
Yeah. Right, now...
I have a question for M. I have a question for M.
Yeah.
I want M to be able to speak. I have a question for him.
Yeah, and then after this, M has some evidence that he would like to present. So, and then we're going to read super chats and stuff.
Through the course of this conversation, which side do you think has presented a persuasive, coherent argument backed up by observations?
Well, only one has done that, unfortunately, and it's not ours.
It's how this usually goes.
Okay.
Okay, so I told Fight this, and can I call you Craig?
You can, yeah. Fight or Craig, either works.
So I like Craig. I like actual names. So I told Craig this. I think I mentioned it before. Yeah, I did mention it before. I was nervous about coming on and wanted to have a debate partner, and so I do want to ask Keith about this, just in case maybe I can get him to help me out with this. Keith, you said you're not a NASA hater, right?
Right.
Do you think that any of like the space agencies, the governments, or anything like that, do you think they're perpetuating a globe lie, or do you think they're just wrong?
Okay, here we go. Now we're about to get some real stuff. What I actually believe is that the person who, the God, the creator, in my opinion, does not necessarily want everybody to know that it's actually flat, because he allows people to take their hubris and their pride and go in a direction that they wish to go into. If they don't want to have faith in him, that's their choice. And that's the test that we're dealing with.
I believe in the Bible it says that God cannot lie. I believe in the Bible it says that God is incapable of lying.
What does that have to do with God not lying?
Do you know
says he's incapable.
Do you know what fucking... Yeah. Do you know that what it means to deceive somebody? To not let them know, like... To fool them into thinking that the Earth is a globe when it's really flat.
Okay, I got you.
They're fucking... That's
so here's the thing.
Lying to garner a response.
So here's the thing. When it comes to that whole layout, that's your choice because you don't want to believe in him. He's allowing you to live in the reality that you wish to live in.
Right, so...
Are you suggesting that all Christians must accept that the Earth is flat, otherwise they aren't Christians?
Nope.
I mean, not once does the Bible say it's flat, but more importantly, why should I believe in a God? There is nothing in existence that requires a God for it to have happened. The only way I will ever believe in God is if he turns up at my door, performs a few miracles, and then what's going to happen is we're going to fight, and I'm going to throw the first punch. Because if God is real, he is a capricious, horrible fucking cunt that deserves nobody's respect or belief or like anything. God is a piece of shit, and if he does exist, he is going to face my fucking wrath when I meet him.
Yeah, because you're such the big man, as we've already seen throughout this interview. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
last
You
people
broke
in
me.
the history of the world are being hell, so that's where I.
Yeah.
So I don't.
But carry on with your point.
Oh shit. Sorry. Okay. So Keith, you did not answer my question, but I guess I'll just proceed. So
Well, hold on. Let's sure we get it right. What did I miss?
I just wanted to know if you thought NASA were lying or just wrong.
Oh, that's right. Because then I went to that. Okay, so here's the thing. I just don't think they can tell you outright. I'm not going to say lying. It just gets into, don't you guys believe it's a sphere? So let's just go along with that. It's more like that.
So they're being dishonest to a degree, you would say.
They're just not going to fully come out and say, "Hey, you're thinking wrong. It's actually like this," because that messes with people's brains, and they're not trying to deal with that.
Okay, so dishonest. Got it. Okay.
Okay, that's your answer then.
No, I was using a word to describe what you literally said.
That's them
That's
actively
kinda what I
going
was
along with
getting
what
at.
you want to believe.
That not
Carry on, Em.
okay. So, all right. Greg wanted me to bring my strongest evidence, and
Okay.
I haven't been 100%, sure on all the other evidence. Like, obviously, in my flat Earth research, I came across the famous 200 proofs, and I read for 2 seconds and then closed it, because that was just stupid. But
Yeah, because of dirt.
Let me just say, Em, you have a big future in this community. So I am so glad you came on because
Yeah.
you're a beacon of intellectual honesty. So thank you for coming on
I
today.
appreciate you saying that. But I have come. Like, I do have this. I know why all these things, all these contradictions. I know why all these measurements show the Earth as a globe, but why I know it's flat. Like, Craig told me to come with my strongest evidence, and here it is. Have you guys heard of a show on the History Channel called Ancient Aliens?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They talk
boy.
about the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were a race of ancient aliens that came here in our distant past and were responsible for our higher evolution. And there's plenty of evidence throughout all of history in archaeological studies, paleontology, and I've watched every single episode of Ancient Aliens, and it's all there.
Okay.
It's all there. What do you mean by that?
Well, you're a Christian, so you're not going to get this.
There's a lot of things he doesn't get. Attenuation.
Tying shoelaces.
We
Okay.
see
Carry on, Em.
the Earth as a globe, right?
Paint.
We see the Earth as a globe, right?
Yes.
But it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's flat. And the Anunnaki want to hide that from us. They want us to think the Earth is a globe. They don't want us to know it's flat.
Okay.
And then there's one bit of evidence that they are keeping from everyone except for the descendants of their hybrids with humans. And it's those people within NASA, within the governments, with... Now I'm looking in the chat. No, there's no Planet X. Come on, that's stupid.
Oh, that's stupid.
Okay. Good. But carry on.
Yeah, I'm almost done. And... Sorry, where was I?
Ancient Aliens.
You
this-
the,
the
the
fight of actually got me
descendants,
distracted.
the
Where was I?
descendants in NASA and the hybridized descendants in NASA and the government.
Thank you. And they're the ones that know. They're the ones that know the truth, and I've heard it too. I'm one of them. And you know what?
Damn,
I'm
how is
gonna
that
share it
different
with
from
you.
what I said about NASA?
Okay,
Because
please,
because
Keith.
Christianity
Please, Keith.
is not
Please,
Christianity is
Keith.
not real. Okay, it's a fairy tale.
Okay,
All right.
Yep.
And
please, Keith. Let him
I'm going
finish.
to tell you the one piece of evidence that they're not going to tell you because I want everybody to know.
Mm-hmm.
The Earth is not flat, Keith. The Earth is a globe. What is wrong with you?
I was thinking that you were sane.
Everything, every single observation, measurement, everything we've ever seen shows us the Earth is rotating, that it's a globe. Oh, I thought I dropped the microphone. I still have it. That the Earth is a globe, that it's spinning, everything. There's not a single flat Earth argument that holds any water, no pun intended.
Oh, M, I like you.
Happy birthday, Craig.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well played.
Hold on.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
It's a
I
lot,
want
but,
anybody that ever wants to patrol like this in the future. I want you to know something. You have to do it the way he did it. Okay.
Yeah.
You have to be believable. All you other come in here to get away with trolling us and being posers and not believable, we'll call that shit out. I questioned a few times and I was like, yeah, probably. But honestly, tell you whether you were a Poe or not, so that played.
No, you fooled me
I do
completely.
gotta say,
I was
Good job.
sucked in. You got me. Just
I do
completely.
gotta
Should we
say
get to
that
some science, or are you guys going to keep on cackling like loud hens?
I want to say something to Tony. I didn't know you were going to be here. You are super patient and super polite. I felt so bad when I saw you on here because I thought I was going to end up being mean to you. But
Right.
then Keith just
Here's
turned
what was
into a
mean.
dick, and it worked out anyway. But you actually did teach me something. I didn't know anything about relay waves and earthquakes. I did not know that. I learned that today. And what was the other thing I said I learned? There were two things I said I learned, and that was legitimate. I can't remember the other thing.
Okay. Seismic travel times and
Yeah.
No, it was something.
the
had something to do
spherical
with it.
distance calculation. Yeah.
We can measure the distance to Venus with radar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe my drawing did I enlighten you?
Your drawing was shit. Your drawing was so
No, fuck you. Hold on. Fuck that.
But
I had to
Let's
listen
get
to
going
what
back
you were
up.
saying to follow it.
now
There,
M
look at
would
that.
have joined us a bit earlier, but he told me he was in a Dungeons and Dragons group. Now,
Yes.
I've been talking for a while about having some Dungeons and
Oh, that's
Dragons
surprising.
streams, right? I've never played much.
Yeah.
I've played a couple of times, but I would genuinely like to do an online Dungeons and Dragons stream. Will you be the master?
I'll have to get back to
I'd
you
be
on
in for that, by the way.
Yeah,
But anyway.
absolutely.
I need to step away from the screen just momentarily. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Oh my gosh.
I have
So-
much
I have to
left
get-
in me.
Oh,
Craig.
oh,
I don't have
by
much
the
left
way,
in me, man.
Michael Straker is not my name.
Cool. You trolled us hard.
It's
Say
a
your
fake.
name was Michael.
My name's Brian. With a Y.
Nice, Brian. I like you. Right, I'm going to read these super chats, guys, and then we're going to probably get out of here for tonight because we've been going for about 6 hours, and I think that is a fantastic place to start shutting the stream down.
Here's some homemade stuff from my D&D game. I made myself a hammer and shield. That's one of the
Nice.
games my friend runs.
Nice. Yeah. Guys, let me know in the chat and in the community section if you would like to see a Dungeons and Dragons stream. I think we can arrange that. I think that would be a lot of fun.